Sunday evening, it's time to prep for the week. My truck is a mix of local work because I concluded last Friday covering the border just 3 hours away in Eagle Pass. So we were shooting FX9 17 to 120, and I was using some of the stands and the boom pole stand with the Aperture 300Ds. So I just left the bags open because we would set up and strike each day, and that worked pretty well. And then I've got my airline cases because last week I started the week working in Los Angeles, flew back after our shoot day. What was that? Monday night. I got in at like 11:30 p.m. My bags did not make the connection, so I had to pick them up the next morning at the airport on my way to Eagle Pass. But fortunately, all of the kit that was airline I didn't need for my shoot in Eagle Pass. Fortunately, I have enough gear that I can kind of separate things. Okay, first project this week, starting tomorrow morning, I'm going to be up in Austin, and these are the things I need to add for Austin. I'm going to have to pull my tool chest out and roll it into an office building. I think I need my bigger Magliner Senior, but I'm going to line up all these cases and make a decision right now whether or not I need to load the Senior cart. So I need a 21-inch monitor. We're doing a 2-camera shoot, possibly 3 cameras, and I want a quad split. And then it's a Zoom feed to the producer that's based in Chicago. So in my miscellaneous case, I've got miscellaneous stuff, but one of which is a powered speaker. Plus I've got some extra XLRs in there. They asked for 4 lavs hardwired, but it's scaled back to just 2 subjects, but they asked for 4, so I carry 2 hardwired on the truck, and I've got additional in that case with supporting XLRs. I need some stingers, which they just got pulled from the truck. They normally live in there, but those are going to be to power my Gemini lights on rolling stands. Second FX9. And then the second project this week is just an Amira rental. I'm handing this off in Austin. So this case is mostly empty right now. It's just a few accessories because the Amira is in my airline case. All right, this one's more for me than for you, but I'll share anyway. This is my camera Pelican from the last dozen or so airline flights. So Amira body with the flat Vocus base installed and a touch and go plate. Currently an EF mount. I leave the viewfinder attached. This is one of the flaws with the Amira. It's a mini HDMI connector, and it has very limited mating cycles, and then it's also a nuisance to swap out because you need a small metric hex driver to remove this cover plate. I do carry a spare, but I've learned to just leave it attached and not mess with it. Here's the top handle and viewfinder bracket. It's a hardwired tram lavalier mic. This is a Tascam recorder lavalier. This is my emergency audio backup. EF mount, 35mm EF prime, 50mm prime, 7-inch director's monitor, hypercardioid mic, pocket 6K with the 24-70 installed. I strip all of the cables off. These are the cables for that camera. This is currently empty because this is my headphone bag. Headphones are back in my earbuds. They're back in my tool chest at the moment. Some tools. Oh, you know what? I'm going to put this transmitter in here to protect it, or that's the receiver. Transmitters here, wireless video, assorted tools, cables, card readers. And then last is the Ronin gimbal, Ronin S, I believe. And then all the active cables for the build I leave in my belt bag here, which holds a gold mount battery to power the whole setup. And here's a loose card reader. Oh, and some cards. Nice. I guess we were scrambling to get out of there. Oh, it's only an RE512, double the price of a regular SanDisk. Recorded a couple of corporate podcasts downtown Austin. I ended up running the audio mixer for this one. We had a multiple camera coverage, host plus guests and close-ups. And then they had requested a third angle, and then the producers were coming in over Zoom based in Chicago, so I sent a quad split back over Zoom so they could remotely monitor, and we had a powered speaker so they could provide direction to the host. And Brent on the A cam close-up. I think this was on the guest. And then opposing angle looking the other direction, FX9s. And then the clients had requested a third angle, and then I think due to budget, they cut it. and we were going to shoot a pickup of the intro and exit wide, but I decided to just give him the third camera. I had it in the truck. That way we could wrap faster, go home and beat rush hour traffic. San Antonio has been my home base for exactly 2 years, and this is the first time I'm purchasing expendables locally. Well, that was kind of a bust. They got a decent still photo rental inventory. For expendables, it's seamless and gaff tape, no paper tape. And they had some, I think it was photo disc, parabolic reflectors, various sizes. I snapped a picture. I may buy a couple of those for my 300Ds. They looked like decent quality. I'm gonna research it a little more, but it's good to know I can buy them locally here when a shoot comes up. The young man that helped me behind the counter had never heard of foam core. He's like, Home Depot has that. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's like a photo specific thing. 4x8 matte black one side and white on the other. So I struck out on that. I don't know what I'm gonna do. This lighting plot for my shoot on Friday calls for 2 4x4 bounces as the key source. I've got my 5-in-1 reflectors. The dimensions are a little bit different, but one of them, I blew out the zipper, so I threw away the white portion. I think it's like 60 by 120 centimeter. So I only have one. I tried to ship a second one here in time, 5-in-1 reflector, but it's not going to show up in time. They have 5-in-1s in there, but they're not big enough, and they're round versus square. And this show is so specific, and I'm matching a look that their main DP established, and they've got square reflections and eyeballs on the interviews, not round. So yeah, I gotta kind of stick to their plot. So I guess I'll cruise over to Lowe's or Home Depot and see what the 4x8 beadboard options are. This is for me. I keep thinking they're M4s, but they're actually M6 nuts. And I gotta order some M6 thumb screws. Hopefully that are all metal, not this crappy glued plastic on a bolt. Nothing lasts longer than a temporary field repair. My craptacular Amazon newer lights, love to hate them. Disposable lighting, it's fantastic for travel work. So these thumb screws that are on the little lollipop stand mounts for the lights, they're all metal, which is wonderful, but there's no stopper nut. It's just torqued down, the bolt inside the T. So what happens is I get someone else setting up my lights, and they wrench on these things like they're proper rental grade lighting gear, and it breaks the little thumb free from the nut, and they free spin, and then you can't tighten them down on the stand. And then people like spin the T handle so it walks in on the screw, but it hasn't actually driven the screw, or the bolt rather, into the stand. So you get this false sense of the light being locked on the stand, but it actually isn't. And then they bitch about the quality of the gear being crap, as opposed to, you know, understanding what they've done. So anyway, the fix, I've been meaning to do this for years, and I just did it on one of them. Which one is it? This guy. I just put a little 6mm nut, stopper nut on there, and I put the hex tool in this end and a wrench on here and torqued them tight. So I'm gonna do the same on my others. Camera prep at my kitchen table. It's just too hot outside today. I'm not gonna voluntarily work in the garage if I can get it done at the kitchen table. So I picked up One Day on an American television series, nonfiction documentary series. They've been on the air for over 20 years. They just happen to have a location day here in Texas, and their A unit is in production elsewhere. I don't even know where. So they passed this off to me to go shoot this one segment. It's a couple of interviews, 2 FX9s, get some of the teams flying in from Los Angeles. Other crew members are driving in from Houston. I'll be driving in from San Antonio. We're gonna be down in coastal South Texas, far from everywhere. So they sent over the camera specs, and since we're using my personal cameras, even though we have an AC on the shoot day, I just feel more confident getting the camera zeroed and set to show specification on my own time, so that the AC and I can focus on the mechanics of the day, as opposed to our heads buried in menus, burning valuable time in the morning. And the record specs are fairly straightforward, but they want some specific metadata. Because this show has been on the air for so long, and they do so many episodes every season, they need to have specific meta embedded in all the raw footage for archival search library purposes. So let's see, 2398 non-drop, FX9s, S-Log3, 2398s, again, AVCI, yeah, so the highest codec. I'm not doing any drone. I don't have to worry about the sound piece. Actually, we talked about this. I'm awaiting a reply. We don't have a sound person for my little second unit day. I'm just direct patching to camera, and I'll be wearing the cans to monitor. So I'm just going in a camera record. So I guess I can ignore the sound specifications. Okay, so normally I just cycle through the menus one by one on each camera until they all match, but I'm gonna try this time. I'm gonna set up the A camera, save it to the SD card, and load the SD card on B, and then cycle through and just verify everything actually carried over. So formatting done. We'll probably reformat once we get the naming conventions figured out. So this camera is just sitting at wherever it was for my previous shoot. So we're gonna come out of SDR mode and go Cine mode. And record format is 2398. Momentary reboot. Base setting, Cine EI. Record format 2398. We're gonna go full frame 6K. My last thing was a long format corporate gig, so I shot AVCL. They didn't specify a codec on that one, but this one, television series with heavy post-production, so I assume that's why they want the high bit rate. I'm happy to see if this trend continues. Pretty much all the non-fiction broadcast television, cable television, still shoots 1080. It's just so much more manageable than 4K. Everything broadcasts at 1280, 720, or 1080i. Anyway, let me just verify it's progressive. It must be if it's 2398. They didn't specify, but yeah, I don't think it's not possible to shoot interlace in 2398. All right, next I want to set my LUT to S709 for the monitor path, and MLUT internal record is off, and we're in S-Log3 on our outputs. I just have to make sure the internal record is S-Log3. Where is that? I have not had to verify that in a while. All right, found it. Here's, you can see the gaps in my knowledge. Project, Cine EI setting, color gamut. I have not messed with this. I'm sure some ACs on shows I've worked on have changed it, but I don't know the difference between sgamut3.cine and sgamut3. So I'm gonna leave it in the sgamut3 and double check with production. All right, next I'm gonna jump over to audio and verify that the time code is non-drop. Again, I don't think it's possible in 2398 to shoot drop frame. Yeah, can only do non-drop in that case. All right, I just got the message back and they said, yeah, go Cine. So I wonder if that's the Cine tone versus the older Sony color profile. I don't know, help me out in the comments. I'm too lazy to Google search it and read up. Or not lazy, just overworked. Okay, so for the clip naming per the document, I just switched to title mode and put it on all the required prefixes, and then cameras A and B, card 1, respectively. Okay, so record format. Image scan mode, I just realized 6K is not gonna work. The production's bringing in their own lenses, which are Super 35. So I'm gonna go 4K Super 35. And I've gotten burned a couple times here changing modes where resolution or codec shifts and it all stuck. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to save this to the SD card now. Encode media. You know, first I'm going to format the SD card. SD card, all file. Oh, here we go. Save. Oh, file ID. Let's call this. I know, I need to enable the touch screen mode. Oh, Oh, it dated it. That's cool. Okay, we're gonna overwrite that. All right, now let's see if this works. So, remove the card. Hop over to camera B. Insert the card. Get in there. Try 3 times. Oh, got it on the second. Load. All right, let's see if the settings are proper, and then I gotta change the media name to camera B. Cine EI. That all looks right. What off? Oh, I just realized the monitor out is off. Oh, it only sends log when you shoot 1080. Oh, I hate that. My first day on this production, I was gonna drive in the morning. Victoria, Texas is about a 2-hour drive, 2-hour, 10 minutes from my house. But they booked a hotel for me anyway, so here I am. And yeah, they took care of me here. I got a little suite. Not bad. I think it's about 5:30, might be 6 p.m. And I think what I'm gonna do with my free time here is edit the next video. Just kind of scoping out. It's a detached garage and the entrance is on the side street here. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna street park. It's the closest to the front door. Rolling on the first interview, each session ran just under 2 hours with 2 camera angles. The lighting plot called for a fill bounce 4x8 white, 90 degrees to the subject, and then no additional passive or negative fill, just the ambience of the room to carry the dark side of the face. There was no backlight illustrated in the plot. However, in the example screenshots, there was a little bit of rim or edge kicker. So I added a LED panel to dimmed at minimum and off at a distance just to give a subtle amount of separation from the background. But the DP had me turn that off. I think it looked better with it. It was very subtle and it helped bring the subject out just slightly. Then an aperture 300D set at minimum, I think just to put a little bit of light and sheen into this black painted staircase. This is the key source, 6 wide, about 4 high, and then the black frame is to knife the spill off the background. Cooke S4 primes, I love these lenses. I get to shoot on them a few times a year, going back about 20 years. We had a 65mm on the close-up, and the primary angle was a 50. I hope to own these someday. They have come down a little bit. I mean, last time I checked, they were about $24,000 per lens, and now they're down to about $17,000 or $18,000 per. So, 6 lens set is still north of $100,000. Next interview, same setup, flip the eye line, different background. You can see how the black flag is cutting the spill off of the background in shots. Key light. Now the ratio on the second interview was much more extreme, too dark on the fill side. That was the black painted side of the room. So I had to add my little LED panel as just a subtle amount of fill. I had the dimmer set at minimum, and also the light was like 8, maybe 10 feet away, just to be consistent with our first interview. Now the focus on our 2 cameras is set at about 6 feet, primary angle 50mm t2.0, and it's fairly square to the subject's face. Nice shallow depth of field with 2 sharp eyes. The closer angle, which is offset a bit more, 65mm prime, 6-foot focal distance, was too shallow at a T2.0. The second eye is soft and the nose is soft, which is a little odd. And then the bigger issue is just the subject's head movement during the interview causes the sharp side eye to be soft unless you're constantly chasing it, which is not practical with a 90-minute interview. So I flipped the B cam into high ISO mode at 4,000 and stopped down to somewhere between a 5.6 and a 5.64 split. And we'll wrap this up with my thoughts on camera rigs. Adding a bunch of accessories to a camera is something I despise. I want simplicity so I can focus my time and effort on the creative, not the technology. So I had matte boxes, rods, follow focuses in the truck, but we didn't need any of that stuff. So here they are, just raw lenses. That wraps up this week. We can continue the discussion in the comments below. Thanks for watching.